had to sum up one of the Dvarim Nifloim, one of the wonderful things we learned in our last session, I think I would say it in 3 words: Rachman Liba Boy. It's not all we learned. The Kadosh Baruch Hu, Rachmana, Torah, Liba Boy wants the heart. Right? We learned that Yiras Hashem and Avos Hashem and Avodah Shablev, it's all about the Lev. And the person has to accept that and understand that, appreciate that. The religion just isn't just about Emunah, it's not just about Deus Nechonos, and it's not just about Maisim Nechonim. It's really at these levels, it's really about the heart also. It's not only about the heart, and we always have to keep the balance, but definitely there's no way to leave and avoid the fact that the Mesilas Yesharim wants that. A person can't be depressed and down about the fact that his heart isn't going. I know that one of the great tzaddikim I often quote, Rav Tzvi Meyer Zilberg, the Baruch Hashem, one of the great matanas of our generation, always, when he talks about Yom Tovim, always writes that if you're not Mesorer, don't feel bad about it. If you don't wake up, etc., you have to know the Rosh Hashanah is so serious. You have to treat it serious. You have to deal with it serious. You have to know what you can accomplish on Pesach, etc. And you can't judge and get down on the fact that I didn't have all the feelings of Pesach, but I took Pesach seriously, and I was mischazik, and I worked on it, and I davened K'mo shetzarich, and I learned K'mo shetzarich. My Ben Am Chavero is good. That's for sure true. That's for sure true. We're talking about a goal, right? We don't get upset necessarily at any particular time that we would have loved to have had our heart so into it. That's not our generation. But when we learn Mesilas Yesharim, to see that where I have to get to is that my heart is part of the picture. My heart is moving, and Libi air is so essential. Let's continue. Hine, Kol Eila, all of these things, these 5 things: Avos Hashem, Yiras Hashem, Shleimas Halev, Dikduk HaMitzvos, Halicha B'drachav, Tzrichim Perish Gadol. You have to really explain them. Umatzasi l'chachamenu zichrono levrach shekolu hachalakim eila. I found the Chazal that they were kolo. They included these different halakim, all 5, beseder, in an order, v'chilek acher yoter prati, in a more specific, defined, definitive, exacting order. Umesudur, not only that, umesudur l'fi hadraga hamitzarechas b'mliknoda tamal nachon, and it goes in the hadraga, in like madregot, it goes in the levels and the steps to be konit. So Chazal not only discussed this pasuk and these 5 things, and they broke it down in a more graspable way, in a more specific way, but they also gave us the seder of how to go from one thing to the other. I am actually taping this. Perhaps it's a full disclosure. I think it's Daf Yomi just finished. I don't myself learn Daf Yomi, but just as Daf Yomi finished Avodah Zarah. So many Yidden in the last month and a half or so just learned this Gemara. I don't know when this is actually going to be brought to the Tzibur Kodesh. Zelish and become a Pinchas Ben Yair. Pinchas Ben Yair. Who's Pinchas Ben Yair, by the way? The Pashas, he was the father-in-law of no less than Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and some I think maybe Yerushalmi is mashma that he was the son-in-law of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. But either way, he had a great connection with the Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. A Torah maybe Elidei Zahiris. Torah brings to watchfulness. Zahiris maybe Elidei Zrizus. Right, and in fact, the Mesilas Yesharim has many prakim about Zahiris and many prakim about Zrizus. Zrizus may be Elidei Nikias. Nikias may be Elidei Precious. I'm not going to go into each of these things because Bezrat Hashem, we're going to go through tens and hundreds of sessions together where we'll deal with all these things, what they are. Precious maybe Elidei Tara. Nikias may be Elidei Precious. Precious may be Elidei Tara. Tara may be Elidei Chasidus. Through Tara, you get to Chasidus. Chasidus may be Elidei Anava. From Chasidus, you get to Anava. You see how high Anava is. Anav milidei Yiras Chet, we get to Yiras Chet. Yiras Chet milidei Kedusha, and Kedusha milidei Ruach HaKodesh. Whoa. You go through the Seder, you're going to get to Ruach HaKodesh, to the Holy Spirit. Ruach HaKodesh, if that was enough, milidei Tchias HaMesim. In fact, I read that the Chavetz Chaim said all the Amoraim could in fact be Machai Mesim. Awakening the dead. But Chasidus Gol Mikudlam. Shemar Az Dibarti B'Chason, and the greatest is Chasidus. Shenemar, Az Dibarti B'Chazon L'Chasidecha. And then I spoke in the vision of the Chasidecha, of the Chasidim of Hashem. Friends, Rabosai. It took me many times when the Mesilas Yesharim to appreciate what Rabbeinu did. And I think many don't realize this because we jump into Zahiris without learning the Hakdama. Maybe we learn the first parak, which we're on the verge of getting into, one of the most important prakim in all of Torah, Parak Aleph. Stick with us. But I didn't realize what the Mesilas Yesharim says. What's the Mesilas Yesharim? The Mesilas Yesharim is Zehiris and Zerizus, etc. Many people just deal with Zehiris and Zerizus. No, you know what it is? Mesilas Yesharim is built on the pasuk Ate Yisrael Mashem Elokecha Shomimcha, and here we see the absolute brilliance of the Ramchal, and you can miss it. It says it. A lot of times, really, they say a lot of times all you need is we just need someone to show us what was said here. The words are so gavaldi, the words are so delicious, and it's not always about expansive pilpulim and brilliant chilukim. You just have to sit and say, what are the words saying? You have to read well. And I don't know why it took me so long to figure it out. But now, Baruch Hashem, I figured I can share with you. Maybe you figured it out already. But what the whole Mesilas Yesharim is it's a parish of the pasuk of Ate Yisrael Hashem L'Kashon Mimcha. It's about Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem and Halicha B'Drachav and Shleimus Alev and Shmiras HaMitzvos. That's what it is. That's what the Mesilas Yesharim is. But that was one brilliant, that from all the psukim in Torah and Nach, he picked that pasuk in Dvarim and understood when it's saying Ati Yisrael Mashem Shomimcha, this is it. These are the 5 klolim. These are the 5 klolim you have to live your life by. There are many different psukim, right? Many different psukim talk about all types of gevaldig, delicious, wonderful, important things, and unbelievable lessons. Every pasuk is Dvar Hashem, Eish Chora Gabe Eish Levana. The black fire and the white fire. It's all Doris Lifnei, Torah is the Uman of Kadosh Baruch Hu, Shashua, the blueprint. But this pasuk is the blueprint of the blueprint, so to speak. This is what it's all about. But that's one level of brilliance. But this even shocked me more. To understand what Pinchas ben Yair was doing was really a deep explanation of that pasuk. He didn't use any of those words. Zehiris, Zerizus, he didn't say Ava, he didn't say Yira, he didn't say Shleimus Alev, he didn't say Shmiras HaMitzvos. He used a whole different construct and whole different words. But yes, but Rabbeinu understood it's 5, which turns into the Sulam of Pinchas ben Yair, and those ideas are connection. Matzasi, and I found as if it was a simple thing. Matzasi lechazal, that they found Matzasi chamenu shekolu chalokim ha'elu b'seder seder v'chiluk acher. Oh yeah. I learned that, and I even learned you. I learned Mesilas Yesharim, and I didn't realize that it was, but that's what it was. Okay, so it was worth hearing, coming to hear this chiddush. You see the absolute brilliance of the Mesilas Yesharim, and like a good hakdama, now we understood exactly what he was doing. He's explaining Zehira's reasons of Chulei, but that's Zehira's reasons of Chulei is the explanation and the prat of Avos Hashem, Yiras Hashem, Halicha B'Drachav, Shmiras Kol Mitzvos, Shleimus Alev. Incredible. The 5 turned into this thing, and who could have seen that those were connected? I mean, both are great things, right? But that's brilliance, in my humble opinion. Now, I want to point out one other thing. The Mesilas Yesharim says, "Mesuda lefi hadrag hamitzarech lepahem leknodos amal nachon." First, the person has to go to Zehiris, and then you're going to Zerizus, and then you're going to this, right? And I even saw a sefer. There's a sefer called, I think, Tzama Nafshi, which came out a long time ago, which tried to show. I never learned it, but that really, after Zehiris, like you're brimming and ready for Zerizus, it's right there. I personally don't know people who learn Mesilas Yesharim like that. Everybody makes Mesilas Yesharim as very much a sefer avoda, like we said from Chaim Velazhin. It's menalu, but I don't know if I can think of anybody that I know. I don't know all the tzaddikim, obviously, but I don't remember even hearing a ma'aseh about someone who, like, it was Zehiris, and then he was Kona Zerizus, and then Dafka, since he was Kona Zehiris, now he Kona Zerizus, that it was really worked like that in an order like that. So there might be people like that who might have done that, and it seems clearly that was the kavanah of the Mesilas Yesharim, but it's something which is a little bit maybe too far for a generation that works in that exact format and that specific and that cookbook-like, that it works so specifically. I don't know why, but I'm just being honest about what you can expect in our sessions and what you can't. Vinay, Rabbeinu continues. Vinay, let's finish the Hagdama. Vinay, al pi braysa zos iskamti l'chaber chibur izeh. According to this braysa, I agreed, so to speak, or I went in to write my chibur, lamed latzmi, to teach myself, and he means it. Sometimes when people say I'm speaking to myself, what they really mean is, I know I'm supposed to say I'm speaking to myself, but when Rabbeinu says it, he means it. Lamed hu, latzmi, to myself. And the truth is, so many times when we're talking, we have to be talking to ourselves. Well, lahaskil achem, I want to remind others also. T'nai avodah, the conditions of avodas Hashem, hashleim l'maydrog Hashem, to complete avodas Hashem to all its different levels. And I will try. Kayad Hashem Atovilai. Levaer b'cholechem inyanov, its topics, v'chalakim, and its parts, o pratav, or its details. Haderech l'gnonatam, and how to acquire them. This is a practical book. I'm not just talking about the philosophy of Avodas Hashem. It's a sefer avoda. It's a practical book. This is it. Umahe mafsidav, and what keeps you away from those things? Vaderech l'shamim and how to keep away from them. Ki ekrabo, and I will read it. Ani v'chol mishim tzebo nachas, and all those who find pleasure in it. L'man nilmad, in order that we should come together. L'yirat Hashem Elokeinu. Lo tikash tishakach mimenu chavoseinu lefanav, and we won't forget our great obligation. Remember that word, lefanav. Basher chomris hateva, and what the chomris, what the thickness of our nature. Mishtadel hasir milibenu, what starts to make us forget. Right? I'm so clear about what I want, and then I see a pizza. I'm so clear about my ratzon to learn, but then I see the news. I'm so clear about the need to be nice to my wife, but then she says something which upsets me. That's chomriyas sateva, all that. Asher chomriyas sateva mishtadel, tries, and so often successful, unfortunately, lasir mimenu milibenu, to take away from our hearts. Hakriya v'staklos, through reading and going into it, being mistakel. Ya'alel zichronenu v'yayirenu mitzulenu, will awaken us to what's commanded above. Hashem yichislenu v'yishmor raglenu milechet. Hashem should be with us, right? I'm not sure what exactly the word chislenu means. V'yishmor raglenu, should guard our legs from milechet, from being captured, from making a mistake. Yitbanu ikayibanu bakash samashor ha'avu leilukov, and the poet, so to speak, the songwriter, the singer, I don't know exactly how to translate mashor, something like that. That is beloved to Hashem, of course, that is Adonenu David. And Mesilas Yesharim brings many, many psukim from Tehillim. Hareini Hashem darkecha, show me your ways. Ahalech b'mitecha, I will go in your truth. Yachid levavi, centralize my heart, singulify my heart. Liyira shemecha amen, kain yihi ratzon. Whoa, what Hagdama that was. Incredible. Incredible. So let's just give a quick sikkim though. Now Baruch Hashem, we're zocheh to learn Hagdama in many sessions. So here's some of the highlights that I saw. One, we learned the 5 ki chalakim to Avodas Hashem. And a person, I want to add, can check himself always, and a person has to think to themselves as they go year to year, am I progressing in these ways? Of course, my shemiras and mitzvahs, that's through being connected to poskim and learning Mishnah Berurah, learning halachas farm, and asking shilas and calling kav halacha and the great halacha outlines which we have, and etc. Having a personal posting, of course, the most important. Yiras Hashem, Avas Hashem, is my feelings for HaKadosh Baruch Hu going? Is my heart getting more into it, as we said before? Halicha b'drachim, am I going more in his ways? Am I a more patient person, a more kind person? Right? A wonderful Chibur Tomer Dvara, which goes so into that he wants to get more into that right away. Tomer Dvara, right? Yeah, Yichud Alev, Shlemus Lev is my heart. Am I concentrated when I daven? My head all over the place? Those are 5 areas to grow in. That broke down into Pinchas ben Yair's Torah Miveli Dei Zehiras, second Kiddush. There's a tremendous problem going on that the best and the finest and the most nimble minds are spending time on other things, not in Avodas Hashem. And therefore, through that, as Rabbeinu said, everybody's losing because the less intelligent people don't know what it is, even though they're trying. The more intelligent people are spending all their time on other limudim, right? And this is something which needs great engagement. He said it again and again. Hein hi chachma, don't think that you wake up and you just understand it, and that it's not something which needs to be worked on. So Baruch Hashem, it was Hakdama, Shabbat Hakdamas, and now we're poised, ready, and Muchan in our next session to jump in to the first parak, which is going to be a parak like no other.